It's the last one. It's the last Hardwood show before the All-Star break. Run Pure Sports. Skip the parent-teacher conference. You're not going to learn a fucking thing about your kid that you don't already know. Trust me, you know everything that teacher is going to tell you. Don't even worry about it. It's the last slate before the All-Star break. It's going to be a very troubling weekend for me because I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. And as our guy Stephen Coy would say, we've got a banger of a 3-game slate. Who doesn't love the Clippers, the Bulls on a back-to-back? But it doesn't matter because there's money to be won. Speaking of people who know about winning money, I'm not talking about Big T this time. I'm talking about Sweet Travis. Sweet Travis with the smash of PGA last weekend and then NBA last night. A lot of members did very well. I saw my guy Gary put together a nice lineup once again. Austin, Nadesify, very nice lineups there. Tyler, we see you in chat, and I can't wait for your miserable bad takes. But Sweet Travis, congratulations. How are you doing on this Thirsty Thursday, the last slate before the All-Star break?
Yeah, I'm doing great. We got tons of winners, though, this weekend with a bunch of other sports, and I'm happy to be here with the boys, right? I got the gift going here. Excited to get things going. Nice little 3-game slate. I know our guy Big T loves little Thursdays with us, and hey, we get to talk a little bit more, right? You don't just got to break down 3 games and get on out of here. I know Big T likes to chat. We were talking about how you're going to be on the road. You're going to be playing some baseball. Then you're going to Miami. And then, it'll soon be March Madness. And we'll be all hanging out, having a good time at Big T's house.
Yeah. So this morning, it was a little bit rainy the last couple of days. We had a break in the rain and it was like 60 degrees. And I said, you know what? I'm going down to play like 4 baseball games in 3 days next week. And I leave Thursday. Haven't touched a ball or a bat since November. I said, man, I got to get out. So I got out there. I got out on the tee today. I did a little tee work. Felt really good. I felt a little rusty, but pretty strong and excited. More excited, as I am for baseball season. And who doesn't love baseball season, right? We get news today. The first starting lineup, Shohei Ohtani is going to start opening day. I mean, I don't even have to wait for that news. Tonight, Big T, when this slate gets ready to lock 6 minutes before, Kawhi, Terrence Mann, someone's going to be ruled out, right? That's just the way it's been going every single day. Last night, if you jumped on Kelly Olynyk, if you jumped on Jaren Jackson Jr., if you are absolutely from the fucking future, even though when I first looked at his price, I thought, man, that seems a little too cheap, and you played Michael Bridges, you had a really, really good night. But how are you doing on this Thursday? And what are you doing? What are the plans? 3-game slate. We can talk about a lot here. What are your plans for this All-Star break? I know you're going to dabble. First of all, the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game is one of your favorite days of the year. It's one of the biggest edges that you've given to us here at Run Pure Sports over the last couple of years. I know you're going to dance in the NBA or NHL streets because I see that's a theme. No, I think you're going to do it.
You say no you're getting from me.
You say no. You say no to this on Thursday, but by Tuesday, when you're like a crack fiend because you haven't had the NBA in 5 days. But what else are you going to do over the break? And maybe you're going to do something with Sweet Amber. Maybe you're going to do something special for her. And tell us a little bit about where the plans stand for the Run Pure March Madness Fiesta. There's some charts out there. There's some brackets out there. There's some things that are going to be happening, and there's going to be some filming. So by the way, hit the like button if you want to see all the video unfiltered, including the random sex tape with the sex doll in the basement that I'm sure it's going to happen at some point from the Run Pure Sports March Madness party. Big T, this week, a couple of weeks from now, the party, you got a lot on your plate, man.
I mean, you're giving me way too much credit here. I'm not a professional guy in the media and stuff like you. You just asked me like 19 different things. My mind only goes one direction.
Take notes.
There was a lot of lead in there, but we got a lot of stuff. We got a Millie Maker in NASCAR. One of my favorite things we do at Run Pure is that article from Jason, the free NASCAR, I think on DFS is his handle, but he does the free piece for us, and we got a Millie Maker for NASCAR. That doesn't happen often, so I'm excited for that. Tons of stuff this weekend. College, I'm sure, will be bigger. All the other sports, not NHL, I'm not considering. And maybe Monday or Tuesday. That you did call me right about that. When Monday and Tuesday hits and we don't have those other sports, I might be tempted those days, but I don't think it'll be an issue this weekend. And even tonight, though, so these 3-game slates, I love when DraftKings does this. They give us the $4 one that you can put 150 entries into. This is my favorite one. I love it because almost any regular player can pop 150 into this thing. And even if you're not a red, put 20 in it or something if you're a lower stakes person. I just love it, though. You can max enter for 600. It's a 3-game slate. We can talk about some stands and stuff as we go. But to lead into I don't know if I answered all of them, but the Run Pure Party, yeah, we're almost there. March Madness, my favorite 4 days of the year. The last 2 years, we've had a bunch of the Run Pure people into my house. Can't wait. Again, this year, we're ready. We got a bunch of call-outs. More coming. Nick, the freaking CEO, just slides into my Twitter today, just randomly calling me out. I mean, he said $500. What did he say? Where's the tweet? 500 heads up, cornhole, hoops, and darts. I mean, just randomly called me out right on Twitter. I mean, came right for me. So of course I accepted because there's no way I can lose that three, what do you call it, a triathlon or whatever it's called. Yeah. I mean, I'm not anyone at Run Pure. I'm not losing in that three man cycle.
Yeah, triathlon.
I'll just put that out to anyone. I mean, if anyone else wants that for 500 or more, or even 100, because it'll be easy, just let me know that we can do that. I'll even forfeit darts. That's how confident I am.
So you're going to basically play with one hand behind your back, hoping that you win the other 2 legs, which some would call that. You could also call it not just a triathlon or a triad. Call it the Eiffel Tower. You could do that.
I am going to call that that's a good call. I'm going to call it that from now on.
Yeah. Travis, our guy, Parker is in chat. He says, anyone who's not a member, it's the best site. You're right. I've got the name up there. JTHayes 15% off your first month's payment. This is the last call for that.
He's on my team in that new. I didn't look at the actual teams they put out for our little competition we got. I hope you're on my team, though.
I don't think we are. I did notice that I've got potentially a second-round matchup with Randone Brewing. So that's going to be really interesting. Someone who's got limited social media presence and someone who has bared their balls for the world to see. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But sweet Travis, I mean, I know that you've got the matchup set. You're taking on Snyder. Snyder, by the way, can't wait to see you out there.
JT, Mangone sent it's like midnight last night. All of a sudden, I get this text come in. I'm like, who in the world's text? Mangone's sending pictures from the freaking gym with dudes out there running and playing, and he's like, "I'll be ready" or something. I don't know. What'd you say, Mangone?
I basically said, "No one works harder than me, Big T." Okay, you.
There was nothing with you out there though. I wanted video of you in action.
Well, I mean,
other dudes out there.
Well, I told them, listen, I gotta do something real quick. I had to send the screenshot out for the win from last night, so I need to make sure to get that out there. I said I'll sit this one out.
Oh, you sent the screenshot, then the picture. I like that even better.
Yeah, I sent the screenshot. So we had
done like the side by side, the shipper and then the shipper that's coming.
Yeah, we had threes going, we had threes and there were 7 of us. And I said, someone will come in a second, I'm sure. So let me go sit out. I'll send this out. And once I sent it out, someone jumped in the gym and they finished their threes game and popped in and played some fours. So Mikey said any amount I can take him on for. So that's being booked.
He's not even going to show up.
First of all, I was going to say that's an easy bet because he knows he's not coming. So it's going to be one of those where, this fighter doesn't fight, and then boom.
I've seen those before. Don't worry.
That doesn't get recorded.
I'm almost positive Randone doesn't have the stones to show up either. He's been chirping. I don't think he has the stones to show up and play me on the court. I'll just say that. I think he's going to come up with some excuse. I'm calling it right now. We've seen it in the past from other people that they talk trash and then don't ever show up to the court. I'm calling it with Randone. I don't think he ever shows up to the matchup.
My question is, Big T, will you take on Randone and give him any opponent and play with me? Would you be that confident?
I mean, any opponent, Randone,
He's not bringing Kawhi Leonard. I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, more than likely I would. I got to think about who's there. I mean, is there any? Probably, yeah. I mean, more than likely, yeah, because you got to be able to take Randone. Yeah, I mean, I like our chances.
I mean, I hate to say it, but the last time that Randone pumped up an athletic contest, he did have to back out at the request of his attorneys. So I don't know that that'll be what goes on here, but in terms of the weekend, I guarantee, I would say the line right now is -210 that you're entering an NHL lineup before Wednesday night.
I did a free Saber Sim show today talking about how to use the Opto with NHL. So check that out on the channel. I'm sure Big T might pop in there to get some advice from Jordan and myself.
Hockey show today. Whew, bet that got a lot of views.
Listen, our guy Austin is watching, and guys are printing. So listen, it's not my favorite sport, but guys are printing in hockey thanks to the hockey team here. And
I do think our team crushes. In all seriousness, whatever I do play, I always have a chance, which has been like 5 days and 5 years. But every time I feel like I got a good chance when I dive in there. I can't imagine if I pulled up the Saber Sim show earlier, I wouldn't know what to do. I might play tonight.
You may have to look at this on Tuesday. Our guy Austin is in here.
Oh, see. Whew,
4:44 Tuesday.
What day is the NBA back? Next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
Oh,
next Thursday.
Tuesday.
It is a big slate.
Minus 210 might be paying early.
I think that line just popped.
It had to move when you see a prize pool that big. Yeah, we got movement.
Oh, Jesus.
Especially when Big T wins the NASCAR Millie Maker, right? He wins the NASCAR Millie Maker. He's going to be like,
yeah, if I win the NASCAR Millie, I'm in everything.
He and Amber will double max the 444 on Tuesday night. He wins the NASCAR Millie.
Max.
Guarantee that. All right. Travis, one last question before we get into this slate here. Last night, you do the 3 Max article every day, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Every day, Sweet Travis does a 3 Max article, puts it up on the site. Was one of the lineups that popped for you that in that 3 Max article, one of the cores for the people, or was that one of the ones where you late swapped over to either Tatum or Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Yeah, well, I had kind of like a baseline of like those Charlotte and Spurs guys in there, but I did make a pivot, right? I mean, that's one thing I try to talk about a lot, and I discuss this all the time. Forward is like a terrible position. Pretty much every slate, forward is never a good one. And so what I basically said is I had the one core that was there, and it originally had Luka, it had Tate, and it had Jabari Smith Jr., but I had the 3 spots to make pivots. And once the Jazz news hit, which I talked about a little bit in the article, and I talked about getting a contrarian stud in there, I ran my teams, and I looked at team number 4 and I looked at my ownership and I said, I have every single guy. I have all chalk players that are 20% or more. And if I play THT and I play Kelly Olynyk, well, those guys are going to be like 15 to 20% owned. I need one contrarian guy if I want to do that. And so I was trying to find a contrarian stud, like I talk about on almost every single big slate. There's so many contrarian studs to go to. And I landed on Jason Tatum and I said, hey, the Celtics are missing guys. It feels kind of gross, but again, he's going to be single digits and I know what he can do. Just got to hope that the Celtics keep the game close with the Pistons. And the Pistons have shown this year that they have no defense, but they have enough offense to stay in games now. And that's what happened. Got it home. So yeah, it wasn't, the exact core wasn't in there. I had most of it. And then I had the breakdown and I added the Jazz guys in as my 2 favorite Jazz guys were Talon Horton-Tucker, Kelly Olynyk, and Jordan Clarkson. And then I just had to find a contrarian pivot up top based on my actual full lineup ownership because I think that matters a lot. And I talk about that in my single entry 3 Max stuff.
Excellent stuff, both over the weekend and last night. If you haven't already yet, go ahead, check out his 3 Max article and go ahead and hit the like button. 151, just not going to cut it tonight. It's the last night before the All-Star break. And we're just going to be disciplined about this. We're going to have to get to 392 likes or you're not going to get the plays of the day. 392 or no plays of the day. I'm sorry, but we got a full week off, and we don't have to be doing this. We could be preparing for the slate. We could be doing anything. We could be talking about how Kevin Fallick is not going to go to the March Madness party, but he's challenging me to some ridiculous contest. Kevin, if you actually
trying to challenge you to anyways?
It's some bullshit. If you actually show up, I'll do anything. I'll go ahead, and I will compete against you in anything. And I don't care if I win or lose. Just show up because I don't think that's happening. So, guys, hit the like button. We moved up to 190. Very good. Let's go. 392.
Did you hear who this guy recommended last night on the Up to Lock? I mean, people pay money for our service. Did you hear who he recommended on Up to Lock?
Is this the Dalen Terry play?
No, that was after this one.
Okay.
This Mangone probably knows. Do you know Mangone?
No, I don't. I don't even know.
You guys don't know. This makes this segment perfect. How many guesses do you think I could give you guys before you could say?
Let me guess a team. Can I guess a team?
Well, you might get it if you guess that.
My guess is Miami. That's the team, I think.
Who?
Miami?
No, well, that's
My-
usually his team. This will make it
Usually.
even funner.
No.
You won't have as many choices, but I'll give you the team. Let's see if you can.
No.
each have-
Let me guess it first. Come on.
Okay.
It's
Did he
gotta
so hard
be
to guess?
first. Nobody loves Greg Popovich more than K. Fowler.
No.
Oh,
I definitely need a hint because I know Fowler can go off the rails. So what's the hint?
all right.
He plays for. I got to look it up because I forget who he even plays for. Utah.
Oh, he recommended the Focesio guy. Or
Fontecchio. Oh, it was only if Marketed was out. Fontecchio. Zach Collins, Parker. Zach Collins was chalk. He doesn't recommend chalk.
I need to look and see how Mr. Fonchico, whatever his name is, did.
I have no idea how he did. So Fowler could be making fun of me right now.
Let's see. I'm about to give you the live update here. He played 24 minutes.
He just
7
said he shot it 8
points,
times. I think
2
it
assists and 3 rebounds.
8 shots.
I did see, and again, this is all good fun. This is why K.
Nickname
Fowler
the Cheeks. That
big.
isn't actually his nickname. Is it?
not.
I swear, if that's his nickname, I will die.
But I did see this Dalen Terry for the Bulls. I happened to go to Discord, and I guess the guy hits a 3, right? And all of a sudden, some subscriber pops up. Oh my God, K. Fowler, what a call on Dalen Terry. That was the last fucking thing he did in the game. It was the last time he touched the ball.
Did he hit a 3 early?
Yeah, he hit a 3 early, and that was it. I think they sent him home. They were like, "Hey, get out of here." But
Is that Jason Terry's son?
No, it's not, because he played at Arizona. And this is a funny story, actually. This is why I like doing this show with you guys, because we go down. So last year in college, and Stevie Boynton's not watching this, but it's hilarious because I played him like when you guys were in town. I played him like the first 2 games, and I was feeling great. Like, it's Jalen Terry's son. Jalen Terry went to Arizona. This dude went to Arizona. It's his kid, right? Like, midway through the second game, I'm like, how could I not play Jalen Terry's kid? Stevie Boyd's like, that's not his kid, right? I played him only because it was his kid.
That's like when we were watching the March Madness games, and there's this dude named McConnell. We'd always be like, it's TJ McConnell's like brother or something. Like, we'd always do that.
I love it.
Not for anything, but how do we know that it's not his kid? I mean, I haven't seen.
True. That's true. Boynton could have
that.
been messing with me. It could have been this whole time.
Yeah.
He's circling back. He's back in play tonight, Fallick said.
So maybe, but last night when they had like 7 point guards,
Who does he play for?
Chicago
Bulls.
The Bulls.
He's a small forward.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, he's not in play.
I mean, again, if you're playing 300 lineups, I think it's perfectly all right to get there.
Fallick loves this, by the way. JT knows he loves this. Like, he loves just throwing out just total like that look he gets. He loves it. He thrives on that. He probably rewatches the show just to see the looks he gets.
Yeah, it's oxygen. So this is what's funny about this, right? He's a fucking small forward. All right. Does Billy Donovan know that he's a small forward? I mean, these coaches do wild shit. So, yeah, all right, maybe. Let's move on. Speaking of the Bulls, let's get this party started. Hit the like button, goddammit. If you're not a subscriber, JTHayes 15% off your first month's payment, and maybe I'll even send you a free Manscaped if you DM me.
Wow.
Probably not going to happen, but look, just go ahead and sign up. All right.
I was about to sign up myself.
There you go. Milwaukee is in Chicago. The Bulls, 8-point underdogs. They are thin. No DeRozan, no Caruso, no Goran Dragic. I don't care if that's the way you pronounce it. It's the way I pronounce it. And on Milwaukee, Chris Middleton is going to be out. 229 total. Interesting game here. Of course, the other night, everyone thought that the Bucks were going to blow out the Celtics. Not so fast. Not so fast. Turned out to be a printer if you were on the shorthanded team. And certainly Chicago, maybe not quite as shorthanded as Boston the other night, but certainly in the same bucket here, Big T. We'll start with you. Bucks, Bulls. Are you all that interested in Dalen Terry? And if not, who else?
Yeah, I mean, you do have to pay attention a little tonight. I do agree with you. Like last night before the break, You could see some guys that we weren't expecting to sit, especially in that late game when we get to that. I mean, I wouldn't be stunned at all if somebody gets an extra night. Mangone's been all over it all year with these guys, so I'll be interested to hear what he thinks about those. But this game, yeah, I mean, you got a shorthanded Bulls team at home. The Bulls have struggled, too, the last month or so. They just haven't had any energy. Thought they might make some sort of trade deadline stuff, but, of course, they didn't. Yeah, I mean, these guys, you got Ayo and Kobe White are going to be kind of the two better value plays of the slate just because of their price point. I mean, 4,100, 4,200, both have the ball in their hands enough. I mean, Levine makes plays, but besides him, these guys are going to have the ball the whole game. I mean, look at their roster. You got two bigs, Vooch and Drummond. I mean, how many guys do they even have active? 2, 4, 6, like 9 counting – 2 total scrub. I mean, so maybe Dalen Terry isn't. Who's out today that wasn't yesterday? Anybody?
Caruso, I believe, is the new addition who's out. I'm not sure. I kind of think Dragic was out yesterday as well. So Caruso is the guy. And of course that leaves, 48 plus for.
I hate to agree with Fallick then because, man, I'm looking at these names and, I mean, Carlick Jones, I think that's the dude from Louisville. He wasn't even good in college. Malcolm Hill, I mean, Dalen Terry just has to play. So I apologize, Fallick. I didn't mean to make fun of you, Kevin. Let's reunite. Let's get back together. And I think we have to at least consider him. Patrick Williams, even 4,500. I mean, these Bulls just have to be really good plays. They're so shorthanded, and I think they play well tonight. I do. The other night, I thought Milwaukee would blow them out. We were on the playback. Boston played well. I mean, they crushed, but we were able to get Milwaukee. If you haven't checked out those playback shows, we've been doing them every night of the week and picking winners on there. They're fun to check out. So it's free on there, too. So check those out if you haven't checked those. But I think the Bulls play well here, so I like all these guys. Levine, 8,700. He went for what, 70 almost yesterday. Going against Milwaukee, I don't like him as much as the cheap guards just because Drew Holiday is a good defender. I like Levine, so I don't want it to sound like I don't like him, but I like the cheap guys better. So if you can find a route where you play Kobe and Ayo or our boy Terry, and we can get on some studs in some other spots, I don't hate that path. Even Vooch struggled yesterday. I could see him having a bounce back at 9,300. I actually don't think he'll be very high owned, so he could be a sneaky play. Levine's actually the guy I like the least, and he is a good play. He's going to be 50% owned or so. So I don't know. I just hope we've seen a lot of ups and downs from Levine over the years. I wouldn't be surprised if you see these other guards kind of pick up the slack a little. And then you go to the Milwaukee side. Obviously, Giannis on a 3-game slate versus the Bulls. I mean, you're going to want to have interest in Giannis. There's really no way around it. There's tons of value guys, too. I mean, even on Milwaukee, you got another 3K guy. Our boy Beauchamp, 3K. Have to have some interest on this slate. So, Giannis, honestly, I just don't fade guys like Giannis on short slates very often. What's really the point? I mean, if you fade him and he gets 50, you're going to feel good, but you're still not in the clear because sometimes 50 is good enough on short slates. It's not a huge slate. But if he gets 65, 70, you're just not going to make those points up very often on a short slate. So for me, definitely Giannis. The rest of Milwaukee is kind of tough for me. Joe Ingles is going to be pretty popular just because he's 3,400 and Middleton's out. Can definitely play him. I mean, that could be where a pivot comes, though, like pivot from Ingles to Terry or something, get lower owned. And this is Mangone's department, too, so I don't want to steal his thunder. He does that good thread, too, where he talks about this is how people are building. This is how you should build. I could see that being in the thread today. Ingles pivot off him, but he is 3,400. He is going to play decent minutes, so he has to be in play for sure. Drew Holiday coming off the monster game the other night. He's the guy I just don't play that much. He looked really good the other night, but they needed him to be like that. Giannis was struggling a little bit. Boston was playing really good, and they needed Drew, and it went to overtime. So I'll actually probably be lower on Drew and Levine in this game, higher on the rest of the game. But a bunch of these other guys I'm not playing, like Javon Carter, Wesley Matthews. not really going to go to any of these guys, even in my 150.
Travis, Dalen Terry, the question here is, do you need him? You've got the value with Io and with Kobe White. You may have value if you choose to play Bones on that Clippers squad later in the night. Could be a good play. What are your thoughts here on Bucks at Bulls?
Yeah, I think this is obviously a really good game. This feels like the old Big T 777, get out in front and stack this game up. And Big T, actually, I think I can talk you into the Drew idea, because I think one thing that I could see you doing on this slate, and it seems like your kind of construction, and maybe I'm wrong. I could see you being like, without Chris Middleton, this is obviously really good for Holiday, right? Because Middleton soaks up that second team usage, but that actually helps Drew Holiday and Giannis out a little bit more. I could see you saying, let me do an overstack of this game. And most people who overstack this game, what will they do? They'll play Zach LaVine, right? They'll put him in there, but you could just take him out and play Vucevic, Holiday, and Giannis. You're left with 4.1K for your last 5 spots. And then you could throw in some of these Bulls and even throw in Mr. Dalen Terry or Jalen Terry, whatever his name is. Because I do think Terry is in play just because of how bad that small forward position is. And one reason why the small forward position is so bad is you're going to see Zach LaVine gain an insane amount of ownership at the position. There was a slate not too long ago where Zach LaVine was like 53% owned and Vooch was like 3%. And Vooch had a monster game while Zach LaVine busted. I could see that being the case here, but I do think that there are ways to make your team different. If you overstack this game and like fade someone like LaVine or like fade a Giannis, that could be a way to get different, right, with your team. So that's ways to think about how to make your lineup a little bit unique, but we can't ignore these guys. You're not just going to X out the Bulls and Bucks today and say, give me a Clippers Suns game stack, right? You're just not going to do that. You need to find ways to be different with your Bulls and Bucks. And I think that's the way I could see Big T do it. And that's the way I think you should think about building your team out. So like obviously some plays here. Vucevic is definitely going to be a good center option to go to. That'll be contrarian. I just think a lot of people will not gravitate towards him. They'll gravitate to other options. So I'm perfectly fine with getting different there. I think that these guards, you're going to want to mix and match them throughout your lineups. Let's say maybe it's only playing one of like White or Io. Let's say you're playing that 150, and a way you want to get different is just separate Kobe White and Io from all your teams. That's a quick, simple rule that could get you different right away. I know sometimes it can limit your teams, and I don't think you need to do it, but if you like to set rules and those are quick ones you want to do, I think that's perfectly fine. Another reason why I think Terry's a good play is he came in the first quarter the other day, and he came in for Patrick Williams, and he got a lot of run early on. So I really do think Terry is an interesting option as a punt. On the Bucs side, I'm wondering what to do with Beauchamp, just because I want to see where he slides into the lineup. Because if he's starting, the one thing I do worry about a bit is when you start and you're playing next to all these good options like Giannis and Drew, they only play with one basketball, right? If I'm on the court with like Big T and Titletown, I'm not going to be able to touch the ball as much. But if
we'll let you touch it. What do you mean? We're team players. We get it to our anchor.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, if I'm playing next to Snyder, the ball's in my hands a lot more, right? You know what I mean? So that's all I'm getting
Big T lets everybody touch it. Don't worry. Go on.
But yeah, point being is when you have cheap chalk, that's a 3-and-D type of guy, that's when I get a little concerned. And one thing I try to think about on 3-game slates, I don't necessarily look at the slate and go, who's the big, 1% guy I can find? Who's the diamond in the rough? Sometimes I look for who's the big fade that could get me to the top of the leaderboards. And I think that's sometimes something that we do not talk enough about on these shows that I try to discuss is who could be that big fade. Can I ask Big T what he thinks of Andre Drummond tonight? Yeah, Butthole loves himself some Big T. So Big T, what do you think of Andre Drummond tonight?
Butthole's our best watcher or whatever. What do they call? What do we call the people that watch? The watchers?
He's one of the best
our best viewer. I mean, Butthole's the top of the list. He's a very smart guy. Adds a lot of insight to these shows. I mean, you got to appreciate what he does. And like I said, they don't have bodies. So Drummond at 3,700. I mean, he might only play 14 minutes, but I mean, if Vooch somehow gets in foul trouble, he could like totally crush. I think all 7 of those Bulls are in play though, down to Terry. I don't think the two.
Well, just to call this out, Big T, Andre Drummond last game against the Pacers, he was in the second quarter from the 12-minute mark to 9:56, and Vucevic played the entire second quarter. So they have actually been embracing Vucevic and Drummond more together.
That's what JSU was talking about on the show yesterday too, that they play a little bit together.
Yeah,
but how many minutes total did he play still?
Well, so there was a stretch for, I'd say, let me see. I'm pulling it up here. There was probably 1 minute in the first, 3 minutes in the second, and the third quarter it was 5 minutes. So like 10 minutes in the entire game.
How many total minutes though?
10 minutes in the entire game.
No, how many total minutes did he play? I mean,
Drummond played a total of 11.5 minutes, so not a ton.
So he played 11 and a half, and 10 of them are with Drummond? Is that, or with Vooch?
Yeah, I mean, they just have
10 of his 11 minutes were with – that's terrible coaching.
Actually, oh, no, I was looking at the wrong one. Maybe I was looking at the wrong one. They played –
I was about to say, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the wrong one on Popcorn. But they played not that many together. I'm wrong. Sorry.
You had me legitimately – I wasn't trying to troll.
No.
I was legitimately mind blown. I was like, they really played 10 of 11 minutes together?
I was clicking over the wrong guy. But to be fair, they have played together before in the past. So my mistake on that.
All right. It is a back-to-back, so backup centers in particular tend to get a little bit more run on that back-to-back. And this hasn't been a terrible matchup for opposing centers, so I can definitely see Drummond. He is showing up as one of the better values, especially at the center position tonight. But hit the like button, 277. We're on our way to 392, and Big T will let you touch it and give you his play of the day as well. Next game on the slate, it is another interesting game. I actually like this game quite a bit. A lot of people will. The Wizards, 3-point dogs in Minnesota, 235.5 total. Sweet Travis, will stay with you. Tyler wants to load up on Kristaps Porzingis. Says the last couple of times he's played against the softy Rudy Gobert, he's absolutely dominated him. I guess I could see that. I think there are a bunch of plays in this game. What do you think here about the Wizards and the Wolves and Tyler's guy, Kristaps Porzingis?
Yeah, I mean, so these Wizards options are going to be contrarian, right? Naturally, you're going to have Kuzma and Kristaps Porzingis. The reason why no one's going to want to pay for them is because they're priced up for these guys being out, right? So if you want to take a chance on them, it's fine. The problem is you have to embrace the low floor because they're not all going to get there. That's the one thing to worry about a bit. I will say the Timberwolves are playing a little bit better basketball. Obviously, the addition of Mike Conley helps somewhat. So I am a little worried about playing some of these Washington Wizards. I just think the price tags are a bit high. If you want to get different with a Kuzma, I'd rather do that than a Porzingis, mainly because of the price. I feel like at 7.9, it's at least a little bit more realistic. And Porzingis, sure, he can shoot a little bit, but he's 9,200, and it's going to be tougher for him to get rebounds at times. I think this is a better Kyle Kuzma spot than a Kristaps Porzingis spot. So if I had to pick, I'd probably go Kuzma over Porzingis. But again, I am not dying to play Washington Wizards today. And I'm also not dying to play that many Timberwolves. I think you can make the case for Rudy Gobert at his price tag. It is cheap right now. They're going to need his size. So I don't hate Rudy Gobert, but again, not someone I'm jamming onto my teams. I just think it's more of a buying the price low and understanding that he can get you between like 30 and 40, and that's enough, especially on a 3-game slate. And playing with Conley is definitely going to help him out a little bit more. Ant Edwards is the one I'm really struggling with because I'm a big Ant Edwards guy. Absolutely love him, but he is gaining a lot of ownership. And at the price tag of $9K, I just don't think I need to spend my salary there on him. I think I'd rather spend my salary on some other options like we talked about in the Bulls game and the Bucks game. That's the one struggle that I have. The other thing on the flip side is I'm struggling to pay for some of these other options in this next game coming up. Maybe I'd pay for like a Chris Paul, but it's really just maybe taking a deep dart on like a Kyle Kuzma or then going with that middling build. So as we talk about it, I think I'm more leaning the overstack of this first game and trying to find a way to make it a bit different rather than trying to get unique with my studs up top of here. Because again, there's not a lot of studs to get different with. I think Rudy in the mid tier, perfectly solid. You could fill in some of these other plays for values like a Taurean Prince or a Jaden McDaniels, but I prefer those Bulls values a little bit more and some of those Bucks ones. So I feel more confident doing the overstack of the Bucks and Bulls game rather than loading up on some contrarian pieces in this Timberwolves game.
Big T, obviously, Ant Edwards, he's going to be popular tonight. Very athletic guy against this Wizards team. Look, his price has been as high as 10K. Porzingis down at 92. He's been as high as 10-1, 10-2. Is that enough of a discount tonight, or are you going to forego those plays or anything you like in this game Any interest in Rudy Gobert, who is a little bit too cheap here at 6,200 in what has been an outstanding matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I would play Mangone before Rudy Gobert, so he is not going to be in play for me. I mean, he went perfect from the field last game, still only 40 fantasy. I mean, the dude's just terrible, absolute cheeks. I wouldn't be shocked if he sits out though. I mean, Mangone, he's got to at least have a chance to sit out, right, going into the break.
The problem is he's always on the damn injury report. It's
Always.
just like it's that's just what the Timberwolves do. So I struggle with like expecting them to be out. I always expect them in, and if the surprise happens, great. I'll make an adjustment. The problem is, I believe that game is a 30-minute gap, correct? Yes, it does. And you really rarely get. I shouldn't say you rarely get, but the Rudy news sometimes can come after that Bulls game locks. And you know how stupid you'll feel if you like plan for that and it doesn't go your way, and now you have to worry about Washington, Minnesota, and Clippers and Phoenix values. That's just one worry that I have. So I don't know. I'm not prioritizing it personally.
I definitely hope he plays, just because, man, it's a completely different slate, obviously, if he's out, because all these other guys like Nasri, 4K, Noel, even, I mean, everyone becomes a much better play once. Like, I just could see Minnesota just in my head. I just feel like they sit guys tonight. I don't know. Could be totally wrong. Again, whoever's watching this, totally just a feel of what I think could happen. And luckily, it's only a half-hour difference. But the bad part is there's only 3 games, and the next one's not till 10. The early game, we all agree, is the best spot. So it's a little tricky. But, like, if you're playing multiple teams or you got 150 in that $4, maybe just save some. Save like 30% of your teams or something, where you get a little contrarian with the first game, and just maybe you hope for Rudy Gobert to be announced out or something. As far as going forward with him in, I mean, Minnesota, I basically agree with what Mangone's saying. And Edwards, 9K, feels a little expensive to me. He's been a stud, but I don't know. That just feels expensive to me. I'm not excited to pay 9K. Could he pay off? Absolutely. But he's going to be 50% owned. I think it's just as likely that he gets like 38 fantasy points as he does 58 or something. So I don't know. I'm not excited. He's going to be in my player pool, obviously. Rudy, not going to play Rudy. McDaniels, Torian Prince, Mike Conley, all just fillers for me. In my 150, I just kind of leave them in there and just straight fillers. If I get to 4,300, my last spot, I'm totally fine with McDaniels. 5,200. I think Conley is like a very good cash type player, where I think you could almost guarantee guys like him are going to get 29 fantasy points tonight, 28 fantasy points. I don't think he really ever gets 40 in this spot, but I don't think he ever totally gets like 12 or something either. So if you just need a good solid play, I think Mike Conley's that guy. Not going to really play unless somebody else is out. I'm not going to really dive into the bench guys. When we have all that guaranteed value early, not going to go there. And then the Washington side, I keep playing Porzingis, and he keeps doing well for me. So if I had to choose between him and Ant, I would actually choose Porzingis at 9,200. I think the matchup's good. Again, though, as weird as it sounds, I like him better with Rudy in. If Rudy's out and they go smaller and they can put like Nas on Porzingis, I think that matchup's way worse for Porzingis. Even though everyone loves Rudy Gobert as a defender, I just think he kills team defense because he just can't get out in guard. So, and that's what helps Porzingis. He's going to sit on the perimeter. He's going to shoot threes and do stuff like that. So I hope Rudy's in for Porzingis. If he's out, I like him less. Kuzma's 7,900. We just watched him go for 50. Beal 77. I definitely like Kuzma more than Beal. Beal has looked pretty good lately, though. So I'm going to leave all 3 of those guys in, but not going to play any of the auxiliary pieces. Also, Dan Gafford. So Dan Gafford would be a guy. If Rudy's in, I'm not going to like him as much. This just goes into matchup-based stuff. But if he was out, I would actually like him way more because Rudy wouldn't be in the middle. And Gafford obviously likes to play in the middle. So just pure how I feel. Gafford a plus with Rudy out. Porzingis a plus with Rudy in.
That's why I like Kuzma a little bit, just because I think he's going to get a lot of shots on the outside. Just because, again, like when they rotate and who gets like those corner shots, like Beal could easily be kicking it over to Kuzma, and he can either drive or he can shoot those shots in the corner. Same with Porzingis. So I agree with you, Tony. Like I think those two guys are really interesting, like contrarian stud pivots if you want to get there. And there's one more stud that we'll get to the next game that I really, really like as kind of a pivot that I'm trying to get some exposure to tonight.
Couple of thoughts here before we move on. First of all, Emperor KJ, welcome. Thank you for tuning in, and hit the like button. Make sure you do that. If you're not a member, use code JTHayes15. Make sure you do that. Do it right now. You get 15% off your first month's payment. And if you missed Big T's input on the first game, you can simply watch it again. You can record, rewind. It is recorded. It'll be on the site. You can just play it again. No problem. Problem solved, Emperor KJ. That's what we're here for. I hear you on Rudy Gobert fade. He's 6,200. This has been one of the absolute best matchups for opposing centers. You're still on a full fade of Gobert regardless.
He's not even like a center. Like he's just a big lummox in there.
I'll admit, I struggled. The price is like definitely right for me. Like I'm not completely Xing him, but I'm
Xing his ass and all 150 on both sides. He sucks. He's cheeks.
Yeah, I'm not Xing him because I think everyone has a price, and I just think the price is right.
His price is like 4,800.
Last point I'll make. Last point I'll make here. People in chat talking about playing Naz Reid at 4K. Look, if Rudy's in, I mean, the minutes have been all over the place. 12 minutes, 17 minutes. Butthole Jenkins made the point. This Wolves team is a fully healthy team. They got a lot of bodies, and people are, talking about playing Jalen Noel. It's just tough to get to these guys. Yes, it's a great matchup for guards. Great matchup for centers. I can't see going very deep on this Minnesota team when you've got that value in the first game and maybe a cheaper piece in the next game that we'll get to. So 318 likes. We need to get to 392. And just like the other night, man, I do not want to deal with the chaos at the end, a countdown, BSing for a few more minutes so that you guys can get there. That ship is sailed. It is 5:33. We need 392 by 5:48. Going to give you 15 minutes to get to 392. That is the threshold for the plays of the day. Hit that like right now. Al Cervic, my God, I'm not going to put that up there, but you guys go ahead and read it. That's pretty amusing and sad at the same time. We will move on to the next game of the evening. It is the last game of the evening. Clippers, Suns. There is no spread. It's basically a pick'em at this point right now between the Clippers and the Suns. 221.5 total. Big T will stay with you. Travis says he has some surprises for us in terms of who he likes in this game. He likes to stud a lot in this game, and he's been on fire, so we're going to pay attention to him. But what do you see in this Clippers-Phoenix game? There is some love for Bones Highland, maybe a fresh start, but again, it is Ty Lue. It is a healthy, mostly healthy Clippers team. It is a train wreck of a rotation. Where are you, Clippers, Suns?
It seems like, I know Mangone always talks about this with me, but I do this with slates where I just totally fade a game in these three game clips where people just don't do it. And I'm not saying it's right for everyone because trust me, some of those people at the top, Whistles and these guys that 150 will never do this. And they're definitely better than me at 150, but I don't think I can beat them at playing their same game with them where you just run the optimizer. I don't think I'm as good at that. I'll just be honest. I'm better at game theory. Not better. I shouldn't say it like that because I don't want people to be like, oh, Big T said he's this and that, because that's just not how I am. But I think I'm good at that. I think I can win slates like that. And just look at this game, man. Like, Phoenix has, I didn't even realize they've got Darius Baisley even on the roster. I mean, they got 2, 4, 6, 8. I mean, they got like 12 guys that could get minutes tonight. The prices are huge. I mean, Booker's 8,900, Chris Paul 8K, 8 and 8,300. The mid-tier guys like Okogie are priced up to 5K. You just have so many bodies. It's the night before the All-Star game, and you got all veterans in this game, right? Almost all veterans, these studs. They're not going to want to go out and go crazy in this game. And the Clippers even more so. They got a ton of guys. They got a bunch of veterans. To me, it just feels like the perfect spot to fade the late game, not worry about anything with the late game. Play mainly the early game like Mangone called to start the show. All the best plays in the early game and go get the lead and make people catch you later through the night, which, just to be honest, when the game stays close, a couple people in the late game probably will get there, and they probably will pass you up for the win. It happens most nights. But you know what happens when this game blows out or plays super ugly and they play a lot of guys? You have a chance to ship the whole slate. And when we're playing DFS and a lot of this stuff, and this is how I do my whole year, your whole year is based on a couple of good nights where you ship 100K. You got to ship a couple a year. That's all you got to do. And even if you take that to lower stakes and say you're playing quarters and dollars and $3, you need like a 10K hit once or twice a year where you fund the rest of the year with that. And nights like this are where you can do that. And it's really, really hard to just go in and run the optimizer and play the same way, the petty theft, the whistles, the Awesemo, the McLovin, all these guys are better than you out there. I promise. If you go in and do the same thing they're doing, you're not going to beat them. I promise you. But if you get a little different and you fade a late game and you go overweight on some of the trickier plays that we talked about in the earlier, the Dalen Terry, maybe you go overweight on him, stuff like that. Is there more variance? Yes, absolutely. Trust me, I'm on a little bit of a downswing right now where I haven't hit anything in a minute, but it always comes back. It always does with the game theory. It takes one night. All of a sudden tonight, that late game blows out the early. And what if the early game plays like Charlotte yesterday, where if you got 5 or 6 Charlotte guys and you got Levine with it, you're mint. I don't care who else you have. I mean, we talked about Jaren Jackson and that play. You needed him for the full ship, but trust me, if you played 5 or 6 Charlotte with Levine yesterday, you won money, I can promise you. So it's not always about the full ship, but by doing game theory stuff on these 3-game slates, I beat them a lot more in single entry. Yeah, I mean, I agree. The chances of beating those guys are a lot better in single entry because you can play one team and they don't get all their combos and stuff. But I just think that's the way I like to play it. And really, I look at this late game, I don't see anyone that I have to play. That's usually how I look at the late game. If there's someone that I just have to play, like say the 2 studs were out and we can play whoever, like let me look. Like say Chris Paul and Booker are out and we can play like Damian Lee for 3,400 or something. That's a lot more interesting. But right now, there isn't a single price tag on either team that I have to play. So why not just full fade it and play a little game theory? Go get the lead and make them try to catch us.
Big team. Norm Powell, people in chat are talking. Norm Powell is out. The challenge here is you got still a lot of bodies, and it's not the same Clippers team where you've got new bodies introduced here. And it's Ty Lue, and you're not really sure. I mean, for me personally, I think it's if you're playing any of these guys, one of Kawhi or PG, and then max one other Clipper. I mean, that's, I think, the way that I'm looking at this. You're still not touching this. Norm Powell out. Does that change anything for you? Because we really can't predict where that usage is going to go.
You asked me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many bodies. I mean, look at these names. I mean, you got Bones in there, Terrence Mann, Batum, Eric Gordon's there now. And you even have, with the Clippers, I mean, they could pull out Bobby Covington, Amir Coffey. These guys can play at any time for the Clippers. So, for me, the Clippers, the Spurs, these teams like that, I mean, they go so deep. One guy being out does not impact me even remotely.
Yeah, and people talking about Eric Gordon off the bench, it's just not nearly the same situation we saw when he was starting.
4,700. He should be, what should his price be? 3,700 or 3,500, and then you could consider him.
I'd have interest at maybe 36 and below.
Yeah.
Sweet Travis, you liked one of the studs in this game that you felt pretty confident about. Clippers, Suns, Norm Powell is out. Chaotic rotations. What do you see here?
Yeah, I do like Chris Paul a lot in this spot as like a contrarian stud if you want to go to. I mean, a lot of people are spending down at guard today, right? A lot of people are going to go to someone like Kobe White, Io, all those Bulls guards, right? And also Drew Holiday, and for good reason. They're good plays, but Chris Paul in this spot, I think, could be pretty good. And Devin Booker has been on that minutes limit. I don't see the minutes limit changing tonight, right? He played 29 minutes last game. Do we think Devin Booker randomly plays 38 tonight? No, I do not.
Going into the All-Star break on top of it.
Yeah, no chance. Chris Paul, definitely willing to. Also, Chris Paul, that man is petty. He's playing on TNT, loves to play on TNT. I think this is a pretty good Chris Paul spot. I pulled up the box scores ever since he's been with the Suns, and here's the scores he's had against the Clippers. 51, 37, 47, 56, a 28, 54, a 27, and 38, which it's a mixed bag, but overall it averages to a pretty, I guess this is with all the numbers. This includes Charlotte, but the average is 51 overall for his entire career, which Chris Paul can put up a huge score. Also, again, with Booker's minutes being more limited, Chris Paul is likely the guy who gains that like extra minutes a run. Like I highly doubt you're going to see Devin Booker play like 29 minutes and Chris Paul play 29 minutes. They just don't have the firepower. I mean, look at this bench that they have. Their bench is Damian Lee, Ish Wainwright, TJ Warren, who doesn't play a lot of minutes, Saban Lee, Jock Landale. Regardless, I think Chris Paul just has to play minutes. So I think he's a pretty good contrarian spend. Now, listen, he's not going to be this guy that's going to be 10% or something like that. You'll probably get him at like that 20, 25%. But I do think he's a guy that could be a big difference maker here on this slate. So I like him a lot in this spot. I think he's a really good spend up. I'm not dying to play too many other options from this game, though. I kind of tend to agree with Big T. You guys should hit that like, too, for JT's sake, so you can get those plays of the day, because I don't got a lot more else to say about this game. I'll try my best to stall for you. But Eric Gordon, I agree with everything you guys said. Sure, could he be the guy that gains the minutes? But he easily could not be the guy that gains the minutes. I think the price is a little tough for me to roster him, so I'm not dying to get there. I'm trying to see if DeAndre Ayton could somehow be a play. I mean, he's 8.3K. I know they have Zubac and they have Mason Plumlee, so you can make the argument that Ayton has to play a little bit more. He is on the flow chart today. The guys in the center flow charts, I'll be kind to give him out. Is Vucevic number 1, Ayton number 2, and Mr. Rudy Gobert number 3 for the center flow charts. But keep in mind, it's a 3-game slate. These are not like the strongest flow chart.
Yeah, there's 3 freaking games.
Yes.
But right, Ayton has been crushing. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Devin Booker is on that minutes limit.
Yeah.
This matchup has been great for opposing centers. I mean, Mason Plumlee and Zubac. I mean, who's going to stop DeAndre Ayton tonight? 8,300 is just a $200 price rise from the other night when he went for 56 at absolutely zero ownership here. I get the play on Ayton. Maybe I like it a little more than some others. Tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, I'm still willing to do it. I don't think it's bad. I think the point I'm getting at here is I think this early game you want to definitely get exposure to. And I think finding a contrarian spend of an Ayton, a Chris Paul, a Kuzma, Porzingis, I think those are some interesting guys that I'm kind of looking at to try and find a way to make my team different, right? That's what I'm looking at least right now. When I ran 50 teams, I do not get a lot of DeAndre Ayton, right? He's on one of them. But hey, he's still popping up at least a little bit, and he's going to be contrarian. I don't think it's the craziest idea on this slate, but I want to make sure I prioritize the way that I run my early stacks. And if I get all these values in, well, I can grab the money for Ayton. And we got our guy Phallic in the chat who loves himself some Ayton. Who knows? Maybe he'll be in his coordinate.
Yeah. God damn it. I was struggling with my play of the day. I was kind of leaning Ayton, but now that Phallic is on him, it's time to adjust.
One thing to note about like Ayton too, like what the flow chart today, all these flow charts, like these guys are all middle tier plays. Like Gobert 15th, I mean, an Ayton 17th. That's without Plumlee, who was playing before Plumlee behind Zubac.
You know, it was different. Sometimes they went small. Covington didn't play a lot. You had
Batum and these guys
back there. So
yeah, I mean, that's why the matchup it's just a weird matchup, but Ayton has crushed. So I don't totally, if I was playing anyone in the game, it would be Ayton for sure. He's shown crazy upside.
Kevin, I'm kidding. We have 4 more likes to get the plays of the day. I'm going to give you guys another minute. This is not.
Did we get there? We got all the way to that number. What was it? 392.
We need 4 more. This is not the way I wanted to be.
Well, JT, you did. To be fair, you did say they have till 48, so they do have 3 more minutes technically. If we're going to be fair, you forced us to try and talk about
GIF of us again. Where's that GIF? How we get that thing up?
That's the risk. That's the risk of not doing it on time. Is we might.
Yeah, there it is. That's worth 4 more likes.
There you go. There you go. 3. All right. We're over it. We're over it. All right. All right. So it's tough. It's a 3-game slate and not a lot of plays, right? We talked about this late game. You could see some mayhem, but you guys got there and we need to go ahead and deliver on the plays of the day. As always, we'll start with Sweet Travis. Look at that. I love that graphic. Who's that guy on the marshmallows? The Sweet Travis play of the day. We'll leave that up there for you guys for a second.
I do love the marshmallows. It is phenomenal. I've had a nice little streak too with the plays of the day. Had Aaron Gordon, had Wendell Carter Jr. We're going back to a center, actually. I'm going to go with Nikola Vucevic. I think he's a really, really strong center option. Top of the flow chart as well, which that's obviously encouraging. I know Big T said they're more middle of the pack matchups, but the thing I like about it is we have really good usage going his way, and I think he could be in for a big game. And he's a really good leverage off of a Zach LaVine, and just going to have not a lot of ownership. So give me Nikola Vucevic as the play of the day.
Nikola Vucevic is the Sweet Travis play of the day. We'll move on. Who is going to go to Paris tonight? Is it going to be a long flight? Is it going to be a short flight? And it's a tough slate here to pick a play of the day because you got a lot of high ownership. I don't want to take one of those guys, but I'm going to go here in the mid-range. The mid-range ownership, small forward in particular, a little bit of a difficult position tonight, but there's a guy that I just think is too cheap in this matchup. I think this game probably stays close, and I'm going to go with Kyle Kuzma as the Eiffel Tower play of the day, and that brings us to the bench, people. Brings us to the workbench play of the day with Holden and Sweet Travis looking on, which honestly, we may be able to take this picture in real life in a couple of weeks in Ohio or Kentucky. Big T, who's the workbench play of the day?
Yeah, so I wanted to get a little creative going into the break here. And again, it's a 3-game slate. I wanted to find somebody that we didn't talk a ton about. I like the first game, obviously, as we keep talking about. So I was digging through, trying to figure out who fits the criteria. I'm going to go with my son's name, Grayson Allen, baby, 3,900.
I love it.
I think a lot of people are going to play Beauchamp, and I don't even know what the full starting lineup is going to be with Middleton out. Maybe Beauchamp starts. I don't know, but I think it's a great spot, and the price tag is just cheap. I mean, last game, how many minutes did he play? He played 36 minutes last game, and now Middleton's out, and the Bulls. You look at the Bulls guards, I just don't see it. Like, they're going to put Ayo for sure on Drew, and you look at the rest of the – hold on, let me pull this up. I mean, so you pull the rest of these Chicago guards. I mean, Kobe White doesn't defend. Zach LaVine doesn't defend at all. I think it's a sneaky spot for Grayson Allen to go for like 35 or something. And I don't think that many people are going to play him. So Grayson Allen.
Allen, 3,900 is way too cheap, especially with Middleton out. I like that quite a bit. And King of Smack, and then one other note before we get out of here. King of Smack says, any thoughts on Beal? You guys really didn't talk on him.
I like him. He's tough because I don't – hold on, let me pull up all the like price range. So you got what? Drew at 75, Kuzma at 79, Beal at 77. And then even a little bit higher, you got like Chris Paul and guys like that in that range. I think he's a little tougher of a play, but he's looked better recently, and he just can't be owned. So on a 3-game slate, ownership matters more than ever because when Bradley Beal at under 10% goes for 50 and he outscores everyone in this range, you're just going to have a chance to win all the money tonight. So will he be on my main team? Probably not. But is there a good chance that he wins me money tonight? Probably so, because his ownership is going to be crazy. I mean, if you look at all the studs, if you just pull it up based on projection instead of anything else, he's the lowest owned stud you can get, in my opinion.
Sweet Travis, thoughts on Bradley Beal before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I want to push back with one of the chatters there, because one of the chatters is basically saying, how much of a ceiling does Beal really have? Well, here's the thing. They played last game, Kuzma, Porzingis, and Beal. Beal had 29 DK points, but Porzingis had 52 and Kuzma had 50. So they have the ability to get there. The problem is their floor is a lot lower. It's kind of like the Bulls when you have DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic. You have to kind of play a guessing game, but it's a 3-game slate. We need to take chances on lower ownership guys. Understand the floor could be low, but there is a payoff with.
And you don't need a ceiling is the key part. I'll throw it on to what you're even saying. A 3-game slate, you do not always need a ceiling. You don't. How many times do we watch 3-game slates with 2 blowouts where the 2 games totally bust? That's why there's so much value in stacking 1 game on these 3-game slates. So many times that happened. You don't need a ceiling. You don't.
All right, guys, that'll do it. The Big T player pool will be up. Travis's 3-max article will be up. Prime time says, yo, JT, I forgot
When we get the video of your baseball this weekend, that's what I want to see. I want to see you out there striping them.
We will absolutely take some video, and I'll post it, and we'll bring some of that video back here for the Hardwood. That's the week after that tournament. Primetime says, yo, JT, I forgot to hit the like. So here's your like, stick it up your ass, LOL. At first, I was going to put him in timeout because that's an insensitive, hurtful comment. But then I realized, well, he hit the like. He hit the like. So you know what, Primetime? Stick it up your ass, baby.